Good afternoon, everybody. Appreciate you taking some time with us over your, well, I guess it's past the lunch hour, maybe for some of you late lunchers, but appreciate you guys joining us. Again, just want to give everybody a heads up that this demo and presentation is being recorded. And also, if you could put your phones on mute, that would be great. We think we figured out the bug or the glitch from last time, but just to be safe, if you could put your phone on mute. And then also, when the demo is concluded, when Andrew's done, we would like to open this up for questions. Again, we think we have this figured out. We've called the authorities and it should be up and working. If not, in a couple of slides here, you'll have all my contact information, and please follow up with me, give me a call, send me an email, and I'd be happy to follow up with questions or the slide deck or what have you. So again, thank you for joining us. My name is Spencer Tollickson, Solution Sales Specialist with eCapital Advisors. With me here this afternoon, I have Andrew Von Eschen, and we are here to show and talk to you about the new Cognos Analytics. Again, here's all my contact information, so please feel free to reach out if you want a copy of the presentation deck. Any follow-up questions, if you want a more in-depth demo, we could come visit on site or even set up a more in-depth WebEx. I would be very happy to do so for you. So here's all my contact information. We'll leave this up for a second or two for you to jot it down. I know the email's a bit lengthy. I need to come up with like a new alias or something. Okay, so I had actually heard this stat and then went out and found it, but 72% of C-level executives say that data and technology is a game changer moving forward for their organization. For all you that are attending, think of the power and think of the importance that puts you within your organization, considering that, again, the C-level say that 72% of them, that the data and the technology is really their game changer moving forward. And we know that there is so much data out there, right? How do you gather or get all that data to make better, intelligent business decisions? And hopefully, in this presentation and this demo here today, we'll start to answer some of those questions for you. When referencing all that data, it's important to find a balance. And where is that balance? Freedom to get to the data, and also you can't ignore security and governance. So we're certainly going to talk about that in the presentation and the demo as well. So again, today Andrew's going to show you Cognos 11, or for another term, also known as, and you probably will become more familiar with this term as it's floating around out there a lot, is Cognos Analytics. Below is just a few screenshots, an idea of what it looks like. You'll notice it has a single clean interface. This interface will allow you to navigate and then interact and then actually create. So Andrew will show you that as we move forward. He'll also show you this very powerful search feature, and we had a chance to kind of run through this yesterday and again today. And this search feature, I think you guys are going to be able to get behind this. Andrew and I both think it's really cool, and it's brand new. So he'll also show you that as well, but it's a really cool new feature to Cognos Analytics. This is something that's also brand new to Cognos Analytics, and I know for a lot of you users out there, you'll find this very beneficial. It allows you to customize and personalize your workspace. You'll notice in the demo the ability to drag and create and the ease of this function. And Andrew will demo this and just show you how truly easy it is for these functions of being able to drag and create reports. From a mobile perspective, Cognos Analytics allows you to now create these dashboards via a tablet. So think of, again, those C-suite executives that we talked about. At the power of their fingertips on a tablet, they can be anywhere in the world and they can have access to these dashboards and these reports at any given time. During the demo, I'll walk you through a new concept called modeling for the end user. Imagine the ability to bring in your own data and automatically create the joins between those tablets. Very powerful functionality. This will be, and again, Andrew's going to show you this in the demo. This is going to come to a bit of a shock to some of you out there, but Report Studio, as we know it, is eventually going away. However, I don't want anybody to lose sleep as those functions and the features will still be there, but Report Studio, as we know it, is slowly but surely going to be going away. But again, those features will all be there. That being said, I would like to turn it over to our solution sales specialist and technical expert, Andrew Von Eschen, for the Cognos Analytics demo.
Thanks,
Andrew?
Spence. Thank you. Welcome everybody on the call on the WebEx. So I'm going to jump in and get right into Cognos Analytics as we know it, right? The next iteration, and I'm sure a lot of you guys on the phone have been using, Cognos all the way back to the old legacy days of Series 7 into 8. I know that's kind of where I started, moving into 10. 11 is a whole new iteration of that. It's just got this very, very nice, concise, polished, shiny front end for my end users to very quickly start to interact with their information. So this is kind of the newest, latest, and greatest starting point for Cognos Analytics. You'll notice that a lot of our old menu panes are running down the left-hand side versus the top, right? We had a lot of toolbars and things. We've got the search feature, which Spencer talked to. We'll talk about that a little bit, right? We had some of that inside the old, Cognos 10 and 10.2 and kind of all the iterations. The newest enhancement to this is we had to go through a long indexing process, and I'll kind of talk about that a little bit. My content, similar to my folders, right? Team content, public folders, so we still maintain the repository and being able to navigate. Another new capability or feature is the recent, right? It's actually being able to see what you've recently viewed. So think about this for, from an end user perspective who's maybe going into Cognos once a month, right? The power this brings, being able to see that report and not having to quickly or try to navigate down, multiple folders to find that same report they viewed last month. It's at their fingertips and they're recently viewed. Now, the other thing we wanted to talk about is kind of the newer capabilities, right? And Spencer talked about Report Studio and kind of how that's shifting into, kind of one consolidated studio, taking on a lot of the Workspace Advanced, making this nice and clean and concise. You do have that, availability, and we'll talk about it. There's dashboarding, which I'll get to, the data module, and others. So these are a lot of your legacy tools. So for the time being, right, this is not going away. You can still access your Metric Studio, your Event Studio, your Workspace Advanced, that's all still available. Just know that that's slowly being married to the latest and greatest reporting. Upload files, so think of My Data Sets. Some of you guys who have migrated to 10.2, right, you started to take on the My Data Sets, enabling your users to bring in Excel spreadsheets and work with them. Notifications, so this is another kind of new enhancement off of 10.2, where we actually have the ability now to see more of, hey, what's going on? What have I subscribed to? What's this telling me? Oh, I've got a new version of my data available. The dates, all the corresponding info. So think of this as your inbox feature, kind of telling you, here's what's happening. You've got new releases of information. Data's been updated. It kind of marries on that back of alerting. So the thing I want to spend a little bit of time here is actually getting into the recents, right? So when I jump into the recents, I can see all my recent views. I can quickly jump into a report, right, and I can see that information. Maybe it's a quick dashboard that I want to be able to get some information from. I'm running this, maybe it's once a week, once a month, but I just want this at my fingertips. I don't want to have to go far to get it. I just want to be able to quickly come in and access this info. So I can see all my corresponding KPIs, my year-over-years, right? I can start to really quickly toggle between, maybe it's my net profit to my gross revenue. I can start to make some changes. I can go to my details, right? So a lot of the same functionality we've seen in the past. We've got some additional scorecarding here that we're looking at. But once again, I was able to quickly get to this information to start understanding my business and what's going on, how things are trending, the statuses, where I'm looking to head in my forecasts, right? Very, very quickly. I don't have to navigate far. The other thing that I want to highlight, as Spencer talked to, is the search capability. So in the past, right, we've had to go through this long, taxing process of indexing all of our different reports and our elements and items to say, hey, if I want to do an intelligent search, I need to do some back-end work to get there. With Cognos Analytics, we've taken all of that heavy lifting off of you and placed it on the box itself and said, Cognos, do the work for me. So I can come in and simply type in, maybe I want to look at a report that's got some KPIs to it. It's going to return all of my titles that say KPIs. So maybe I'm looking for KPI details, right? I can quickly render that report. Looks very similar to what we're just seeing. But what if I want to know a little bit more about a specific element or a data item or, a product line or a product itself, right? I can leverage the search functionality in the same means. So if I wanted to search for a product that I have called Alpha, right, I can quickly type that in. It's going to return every report that has Alpha inside of it. So if I come down to this demand forecast, I quickly run it, I notice that here's my different product lines, my Alpha, Charge, and Nova. There's my Alpha that I just searched for. Same thing on the right-hand side where I'm looking at this price, revenue, volume scatter plot, right? I can see the exact same thing. All of my Alpha product lines are being returned. That is huge functionality and capability that, many people kind of overlooked, or it was a long taxing process, like I said, which will really alleviate a lot of the pains of having to go through that process, right? Having Cognos Analytics do that lifting for you and indexing everything out so you can just focus on typing in, what you're looking for and have it return results is huge. Now, I'm going to shift gears a little bit here because I want to highlight, one of the new capabilities that Spencer talked to, which is that data module. Now, many of you guys have probably started working with my data sets in 10.2. You've kind of seen the power of it, right? Being able to pull in a spreadsheet, work with it, do some analysis, some modeling, right? Building out some visuals. What this enables you to do is take that to the next level, right? I want to pull in multiple sheets and start to build out those relationships. I want to go and access some data off of, some source files or source systems and marry this information and use it as kind of my own personal modeling component, if you will, right? So it's not necessarily building off of your metadata model yet, but the idea is it'll slowly work there. Right now it's more of I want to take my information and just be able to start to work with it in a little bit different way, shape, or form. So I can see the sources I have available. If I want to go into my data servers, I just want to go out and grab some data from my source called Go Sales. And I'm going to grab a couple different servers actually and pull these back, right? And I'll expand this out and kind of show you what this looks like, where I can actually see I've got, dozens of tables in here on both of these fronts. And as Spencer was talking about the smart modeling or intent modeling, the purpose behind it is for you to quickly come in and say something like sales by order type. And you notice as I'm starting to type this, Cognos is starting to fill in the blanks for me. Right, so we're starting to pick up on some of the natural language, and it's getting smarter and learning from me as I'm working with it. Now, if I hit go, or when I hit go, it's going to go through all of those tables that I've asked it to pull from those servers, and it's going to build out a proposal for me. So it's going to tell me, based on what I've searched, here are the relevant tables that correspond to what I'm looking for. Now, if I accept this, what it's going to do is it's actually going to build that model for me. So I can see here's exactly what's going on, right? Here's all my corresponding info. Let me zoom out a little bit so you guys can see this. Right, so I can see all my data, all my info. If I want to look at my cardinality, so if I want to get in and actually see how things are being joined, I have the ability to very quickly do that. I can also test this out and take a quick test run of this data model to see, is it joining things correctly? Is it actually going to be kind of working the way that I was anticipating? So if I just pull in, branch code, for example, maybe I want to pull in some product information, maybe it's the product number, and then something around my details, right? Maybe it's just the quantity that's been shipped, right? So I can actually run this out as a report. The other thing I have the ability to do is just do more of a preview view where I have more of that workspace advanced, whereas I start to drag in, additional columns or context, it's just building on top of it while I'm sitting here watching, right? So I can see all of that information very quickly displayed. I think that's pretty cool, the ability for me to be able to see that information very, very quickly. I've got the model up and running, right? That to me is an awesome thing to have the ability to do. Now, the other thing I'm sure a lot of you guys are wondering about is, well, what about, how do I build reports moving forward? If Report Studio is kind of, migrating towards, kind of a new look and feel, what's that look like? So I'm going to jump back and actually go in and build out a quick report just to kind of give you some flavor on the newest kind of Report Studio-esque feel. So I'm going to jump in and build out my report. I have the ability to still pick out my different templates, right, as we've seen in the past, right, whether it's my lists, my crosstabs, my charts. I can choose my package. So I'm just now starting to navigate down my public folders. So I'm going to pick out my sample, my model. Right, I'm going to open this up. I'm going to start with a blank. And you'll notice that I've got just kind of this new look and feel where I've got a plus sign in the middle. Now as I click this, this is going to expand out and tell me all of my available features or components that I can add. I still have the toolbox, I still have my Query Explorer, but this is just a nice quick way for me to quickly add information to this. So I'm going to add in a table, a 2x2. I now see I've got, my 2x2 table. Maybe I want to add some information to the upper left. Maybe it's a chart, right? I can just simply pick my chart, a bar chart. Now if I want to add some items to it or data items, on the left-hand side, I still have the ability to get to my data, my toolbox, like I said, right, where I can see all my different tools. I can actually get to my view or report view. If I just want to load in some data from here, maybe it's some sales information, I can come in and drag my revenue, right? I can add some product information. Maybe it's a product line that I want to be able to see some information on, and I want to see that over time. So I'm going to grab that by my year, drop that info in. Now, if on the bottom I want to add in, that same type of information, but in more of a numeric look and feel, right? I can simply just click on that plus sign, go to my crosstab, point that back to my original query, and I can start to just, once again, drag and drop my individual items into my columns, my rows, my context to help me start to build that report. Now, I've added a couple objects in. They're from the same query. If I want to add in some additional context, maybe it's about my quantity, not my revenue, right? I want to add that to the upper right. Once again, it's just very quickly, I'm expanding this out. I've got my pie chart. It's now showing up. I can come back to my source and start to add in that same info. So if I wanted to add in my quantity as a measure, and maybe it's the same product line as my series or my pie slice, I now have that info, right? I can run this report. I can see the corresponding output of that data, right, in more of a report view, which many of you guys are very familiar with, right? Seeing that info built out. Here's my product lines, my revenue, my years, the same sort of thing on the right-hand side, but by quantity. Now, a lot of you guys who are spending time in Report Studio might be asking the question of, well, what about the properties, right? How do I access that? That's all available too. So if I want to get the properties associated with that object, right in the upper right-hand corner here, I have my properties icon where I can get to that full properties list. Same thing with my queries. So if I want to get in and actually build some custom calcs, right? I'm sure nobody here is building custom calculations and making modifications to your data. You can very quickly and easily get to that too. So none of the Report Studio as we know it or the report authoring tools have lost the capabilities. It's just kind of the look and feel of how we're interacting with it today. Now, I'm going to shift gears once again and talk about a new capability that's been added, which is this dashboarding capability. And I'm pretty excited about it. I've shown Spencer. Spencer's eyes just about hit the floor when he saw it. It
is really cool.
And for me, it's very cool, and I like where this is going. I'm so excited about this and to show you guys this. So I'm going to jump into the dashboard. And what this enables me to do is actually pick a template view of kind of how I want to start. Is it a free form? Do I have some sort of view that I want to start with? I personally like this kind of 4x4 grid with some additional context in here, right? So I'm going to hit OK. And what I see here is I've got kind of my report view. I can choose my different sources, right? So if I wanted to grab some data that I have, for this example, just going to grab a data module that I built, right? And we're moving towards the framework models. That's something that's in process. A lot of this right now is kind of shifting towards more of those data modules, and as you're building those out, being able to quickly do some additional dashboarding on that. But the idea is that I can quickly just start to drag and drop this information and let Cognos Analytics tell me the best type of visualization for that data, right? So if I wanted to see some information based upon, say for example, it's my sales region by my quantity, right? I can just drag in my sales region. I can place that in. Maybe I want to pull in my quantity information. I drop that on it. I'm now letting Cognos Analytics build out this view or this corresponding visualization of my data, right? If I also wanted to add in some additional context here, maybe I want to add in some attribute data about the product, maybe when it was launched, right? So I can drop this in, and once again, this is Cognos Analytics building this visual for me. Now, if I'm not a big bar chart guy, I can come out to Cognos's recommended visuals. Maybe I want to see this as a heat map, right? This very quickly transitions from a bar to a heat map. I don't have to go through the process of changing my categories and my context. Any of that, for many of us who've done development in here, you got to make some changes and adjust to get things. Cognos is doing all that for me. The last piece is, maybe I want something that's not as part of the recommended. It's something that I know Cognos Analytics has in its bag of tricks, For example, a packed bubble or a pie, right? I'm a packed bubble guy. I like that look and feel. So I want to change this to a packed bubble. Once again, automatically adjust to my selection. I think that itself is fantastic. Now, I know that I also want to add some additional context to the bottom left and kind of build out this dashboard and really kind of show the key capabilities here. So I'm going to drop in my order method type by my gross profit. I don't mind a bar chart in this example. I kind of like it. The last one I want to get to is I want to add in a revenue along with my costs and be able to see that information. So you notice as I drop in that revenue, which is numeric, it's just going to auto sum that up. I can change the summation, so if I wanted things to be, maybe it's an average or minimum, I can really start to articulate and show that data in a different context. So if I wanted to look at, that revenue by my product cost, I can drop that in, right? Builds out kind of this nice scatter plot chart or plot chart. Doesn't help me necessarily. I want to add some additional context in. So what I want to do is I'm going to just drag over my launch time, let that build, but you know what, this view doesn't really help me answer any questions. I want to choose a scatter plot, be able to see that info. Now in the upper right, I've kind of left that open, and what I want to be able to do there is build out some different filters and the ability to quickly slice and dice my information to see this dashboard start to dynamically change based upon my selections. So I'm going to add in a couple key just indicators or KPIs, right? My gross profit and my revenue in numeric sense. I also want to add in the upper right a little bit of information about my size and what's going on. So I've got some different product sizes that I'm selling. So maybe it's my large, right? And you notice as I click this, what's happening to the dashboard. It's dynamically changing to reflect the selection I've made, and it's reorienting all of my individual widgets to now show that info. But I want to go one step further. I want to know a little bit more than just my size. I actually want to know, how I'm selling these products. Are they sold in bulk? Are they sold individually? What's kind of the purpose, or how are we selling these items? So now as I drag in another attribute to this parameter field or selection area, it's starting to build out a hierarchy for me. So I can see exactly what I have inside of each of these, this new dimension that I've just created on the fly, my medium bulks, right, or my single smalls. I can start to reorient and re-navigate this even further to show exactly what I would like to see, right? Now, one other thing. Now, if you guys aren't blown away by this yet and the ability for this dashboarding capability and just how powerful and quick this is, the next piece, I don't know, I was blown away when I saw this, but it's another visual type that I haven't ever seen before, and it's something that is just, it's so unique and cool that when you guys see this, I mean, it's awesome. It's a data player, so I can actually take my data and drop in something like a year or a month or a quarter, and I can play this information and watch it display, right? So maybe now I'm done editing, and I just want to see this info. I can sit and I can watch my chart dynamically change or my dashboard dynamically change to help me understand the trends and how things are flowing.
As you can imagine, this was the piece that I thought was pretty darn cool.
So I'm just letting this play through in the background, and it's telling me that Central Europe is just kind of staying right around the same. We're just primarily doing a lot of winter goods, right, or we're launching a lot of things in the winter, and that's been a big kind of key selling point for us. Right, and I can see that over the years, over the months, however I want to play this data, but that to me is just, that's a game changer. That is something that I have never seen, and it's cool. I mean, that is a powerful, powerful thing to be able to visually play your data and tell that story. Awesome. Now, Spence, Q&A?
Yeah, hopefully it's working. Let's open it up now for some questions, or if anybody has any specific follow-up questions to the demo or the presentation, now would be a time to go ahead and fire away.
Spence, it looks as if everybody is unmuted this time.
All right. Again, any questions, concerns, thoughts, feedback?
Hey guys, this is Ken O'Brien in Colorado. We joined a couple of minutes late and missed the quick intro. What version of Cognos is this?
This is Cognos Analytics, which is version 11.
And
11,
Ken, also,
okay.
I will say for yourself as well as anybody that joined late, please keep in mind that this demo was and is being recorded as well as the presentation, and we will upload that to our website at eCapitalAdvisors.com. So anybody that joined late or missed any part of it, please feel free to either follow up with myself and also visit the website for the full demo and link.
Cool, thanks Andrew.
Any other questions?
At this point, it doesn't sound like it. Or sorry, we do have one more.
Yeah, one quick question. If we upgrade our server to Cognos 11, we're currently on, I think, 10.2. Are all the 10.2 report formats going to work in 11? Does it have backwards compatibility?
Absolutely. Yep. Not a problem at all. It's just really a front end. You're actually going to see some of the functionality that you have in 10.2 will actually be there as well.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Tammy. And for those of you still on, that voice was Tammy Brasted, Director of IBM Solutions here with eCapital Advisors. Appreciate you chiming in there, Tammy. Thank you. Any other questions or concerns?
Yeah, Hank, we got one more.
Sure, fire away.
Can you explain where the data module picks up from, we're used to using the packages? So what's the purpose or what's the difference? Why do people need to start using the data module and it feeds into a data model? Can you talk about those three things?
Tammy, do you want to take that one, or do you want me to take that?
I certainly can. So
okay.
Framework Manager packages, as we know them, will continue to exist, right? So you can still do the modeling in the background and do the things that we've done in the past. For some users in some organizations, that wasn't enough. They had data all over the place. They weren't going to put it in the data warehouse, or they were having problems getting at it, or they were getting data from elsewhere, right? So maybe they were going out and getting demographics data, right? And they wanted to join it to the information that they have. Well, instead of making that an IT function, they've made it an end-user function. And again, it's a capability that you can give somebody the ability to do that, or you can deny them the ability to do that. But it'll allow them to take that information that came from someplace outside your organization and bring it in and do some reporting, and not only do the reporting, but then share that information with the rest of your organization. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So the end user creates the data module and shares it within the team without having to go all the way down to the package. So
correct.
It makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Nope, I'm good.
All right.
All right. Well, again, we appreciate everybody taking some time out of their afternoon on this Friday. Again, my contact info is listed on the screen in front of you. If you want to have any conversations about last week's presentation or this week's presentation, and please let me know. And then also, again, next week's presentation is going to be, I believe, at 11 o'clock on Friday. So please tune in for that. You will all be receiving an invite early next week for that invitation. But if there's nothing else, everybody have a great Friday and even better weekend, and we will talk soon. And please feel free to reach out with any follow-up questions or if you want a copy of the deck. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
All right, thank you.